All right, we're off. Game 1, BLG versus T1 to find out who's going to play against JDG in the finals. Loser will go home. The winner will advance to play JDG, who has looked unstoppable. That team has looked perhaps better than any team has ever played on international stages. So here we go. What are we going to get? We've got Lissandra, Zaya, Rakan, a fairly low damage composition to start off with. We've got Wukong to supplement that, and Gragas in the top lane. So a very well sculpted composition from T1. BLG putting the classic Jax in the top lane. Jax much weaker than he was for a long time. It is Bin's favorite champion. He has been exceptional on it, and it seems like he has every single limit drawn on the champion. But we did see a couple oversteps into Gragas in the lane. Got belly bopped under turret, and we also saw him take a Q dive to a Zaya and then miss his flash. So has been mortal on this champion. We'll see what the narrative rides for this. We've seen Gragas kind of weather the storm in these top lane carry matchups and just be more useful in the end game. Apart from that, we've got Viego and Annie, which is a nice little split. You've got about 50-50 AD AP for the top lane, and then you've got jungle AD, mid lane AP. Zeri also heavily, or a major contributor to the magic damage proc, doing about 30-40%. So I expect to see Abyssal Mask, or I would hope to see Abyssal Mask at some point somewhere. We'll see who ends up going for it if they do. We saw in the last game that they didn't, though, so very high chance that they don't, but we'll see if they make that adjustment. Now, Zeri Lulu, classic pentakill pairing, going to be on to T1 to try to make this happen. They do have the winning bot lane here, but it looks like they're allowing the push to come in, so they want to play for a rebound. This is because Wukong is on the bottom side of the map, and he's going to be pathing top. So they don't want to get caught in a push out and not really know what's going on. They have put out one ward for themselves in the Raptor pit. So they'll have some amount of timing for the Viego. The fact that they haven't seen him yet at 219 means that they're fairly certain that he's already started or that he's already going on the blue quadrant. He might be on the northern one. Wukong will have to play that by ear. But right now they'll see him shortly, and that will give them the information that they need to keep this freeze. The two options are going to be, if you don't see Viego by 245, then that means he probably invaded top lane, and Wukong can come down and you can look for a gank in bot lane. But if you do see him, then you're going to look to hold this freeze. And that's exactly what they're doing right now. Zaya Rakan are explosive in damage. Very hard to get onto Zeri when she can dash away. But the onus will be on the Zaya and Rakan to make this happen. Now check out this move by Viego. Gets the timer on the Gromp and immediately looks for a dive. Says, oh, you guys want to freeze? Well, I'm level 3. Let's see what you guys can do about it. So let's check out the technique. Early stomp on Guma. And they just get it quickly. Resets the aggro, jumps out. And they're going to go for another despite there not being any minions. So Zun is going for this and he's going to jump out and then flash. But it's not enough. This is just a misplay. We'll see if Keria can get more back for themselves. Rakan is not useless with gold either, so Rakan will be exploding towards his Boots of Lucidity and perhaps even an earlier Shurelia's Battle Song. So a little bit overplayed there by BLG. Love the idea, the concept is right, but the execution slightly off. I think they got surprised by how many minions were still alive or not alive in that situation. Now you see Wukong doing the same play, but inverted, right? Instead of 4 camps into gank, he did full 6 camps because Viego showed himself in bot lane. I expect them to go for this dive here. He should not finish this recall. That's a missed opportunity. You know the timer's on Viego. You know that he's not here. You know that he went top to bottom. That he still has red and Krugs to go do. So here we go. They go with the reset, and they're fine. But it looks like a little miscommunication. They're like, no, we can do this. But then the last minion dies. Not enough time to get that drawback from the Zaya, right? So when Viego curls back, right, when he's in the new form, you need to flash right away, and then you can use the E to pull back the feathers, and maybe you get something there. But overall, they just didn't need to make that play happen, right? What's Rakan going to do by himself under turret? They could have just waited for the next wave and been okay. Very big missed opportunity, though. The fact that Owner was not willing to pull the trigger on top lane. I wonder if I just didn't see that Annie had gone into fog or something. Something must have alerted them about the potential presence for a counter, but the play was definitely there to be had if they wanted it. Now, we see this in the Gragas-Jax matchup, right? Jax is going to outscale, but for these early levels, especially 1, 2, 3, the sustain is so relevant on the Gragas passive. It is such a major part of his early health pool. that he can take these trades, and anytime that Counter-Strike comes up, you'll just see Belly Bop used right in response. Jacks can't really try to do E and Q, because if the Gragas is quick, they can just Belly Bop in response. The connected distance will bump you away out of Counter-Strike range, and then you walk away. So sometimes what they'll try to do is just EQ right away. Boom, try to make it right away. But there's really no great trade pattern for Jacks. The only time that it'll be superb for him will be if he can get to stack up his ultimate post 6. Where he gets that serious damage boost, and he can go for a Gragas ultimate. It's burst and some disconnect, but let's check this out. Faker going for a self-ult. This is a mistake again. T1 playing with a lot of hesitation here means that Faker's going to pay for it with their life. Not a good start from T1, right? Not careful about the bot lane state. Wukong not getting the maximum in top lane. We don't see... we saw Faker self-ulting instead of ulting their team. He was not in threat right there. He could have continued to deal damage. There are definitely times where Lissandra self-ult is best. That was not one of them. So if you're in the spot, if you realize that you're playing poorly or that you're nervous, whatever it is, first step, just recognize, all right, I'm nervous. How do I know that I'm nervous? Okay, try to feel it in your body. Do you feel like you have a knot in your stomach, or is your chest tight? What physical response are you getting that lets you know, hey, I am nervous? Once you have that, take a deep breath and focus the energy that you get from that breath. Let the waves go to that part of your body, right? Accept it and then resolve it. Trying to ignore it or trying to play through it kind of lets it linger and build in the background, and that's something you don't want. I know it's not a popular take, but it is my opinion that Faker does not perform well in these high-pressure games. We'll see if he can pull it around. He tends to get very hyphy. He tends to try to overcompensate for his team, and he gets caught in a lot of eager positions. So we'll see if he's able to control that. We'll be taking a look at his breathing, taking a look at his mannerisms. Looks mostly calm right now. All right, now once Wukong can go back on the map, they've got Caulfield's Warhammer, going to lose a trade if they take it with the Viego here, but ends up trying to get a little bit aggressive. Now, this is a little bit mistimed, right? Yagao is in position to harass back. Now, this is a mistake, right? Yagao stepping forward as Zun is full retreating. And again, Faker with the self-ult. There's no reason to self-ult there. It's just cleaner to do it the other way. Get more damage. You'd get 2 more auto attacks and another Q out if you just ulted them. Perhaps thinking that Viego was around the corner, not realizing that Viego had made a fairly colossal mistake to retreat and go left as Annie was aggressing. But we see that's what it is. Same thing that we saw in games yesterday. What was going wrong in fights that they were losing, it's that syncopation, right? When one's in and one's back, you need to be together or together or together or together, right? You want to move as a team. One of the best exercises you can do if you're trying to put your team together, just load onto the rift. Don't even play the game. Just follow the leader. You have one person who's the key. Everyone has to play off of them. Whatever move they make, they have to continue to make. Now let's look at all this pressure. BLG dealing a maximum amount of damage here on Elk. Flashing forward, but it's not going to be enough. The flash response is a great answer to get the Zeri return kill, but Zeri showing exactly how powerful she is in these situations. You can block a lot of Zeri damage with the turret. That is one of her weaknesses, but she will get that empowered auto attack for a massive amount of burst. And basically that's what she saw. She saw a window to get the Q in, so she went, hey, I can flash Q auto and get full damage here. Feathers will fly. Zaya will get a kill versus Annie. So Yagao showing some missteps here. Very dangerous lane, though. Very tough to go against Zaya Rakan. They're so deadly together. When Rakan has access to that extra damage, right, it really does add up and it matters. And then you get this nice cheaty recall where Rakan can go to a nice safe spot and then start recalling. Zaya can press forward and then come back and recall themselves. Now check that out. A little mistake on the smite, but they do end up picking it up and they're just fine. But here comes the chase. Elk is looking at this wall. Could have actually taken a better angle. by stepping to the side and then going over, might have been able to deal more damage. Like that they go for it right here. Lulu's like, I got you. I got a shield for you. We'll start pushing this wave out. So this right here, unneeded. Unneeded. You had the wave was coming in, and you had a 4v2 and players were corralled. There was zero need to use your flash there as Zeri, and you did not need to die either. All right, BLG feeling strong, 1.3k in the lead. They're going to start taking aggressive positions. Look for them to start warding in the eastern quadrant. They're going to try to get first a line onto the beach, which they've already done. They'll start trying to move up and maybe contest versus owner into his own jungle. He is able to get that smite, but look, Zun's going to say, all right, you just used your Q and smite on the jungle camp, so I'm allowed to continue aggressing. On getting a ward, very shallow. I actually don't like this. I really would have preferred to see that ward go right over the top there and to see people on the backside of the bush, because you already have the control ward in that hook bush. And because you have that one there, right, you don't need this redundant vision. Also, you want to spread your vision out a little bit more. Very common that enemy teams can put a control ward in that bush, and they'll be able to just take it out. If you put yours on the other side, then they might never see it coming. Not only that, but in later stages of the game, it becomes a really good teleport ward as well. And if you're playing live today, 10 minutes, you will be able to teleport to that ward. So worth noting that it is going to change, right? Metas are going to change how aggressive teams can be. Now look at this. This is a misstep. Team goes separate directions. Again, Annie correctly realizing that they need to flash forward, and this is something Yagao did best. Perhaps taking a page out of Knight's book for saying, hey, let's get aggressive. Now look how they're continuing the fight. Zun's going to buy some time, wait for cooldowns. They spread out. They make Xayah waste her Q and drawback. Nothing to get there. And they kite the fight to perfection. These Chinese teams are so good at small-scale team fighting and dancing around. And they've got a 3k gold lead for themselves. So BLG well in hand. They have this game. They've got the scaling. They're going to be in really good shape. Beautiful play there by Yagao. Realizing that they were in a tough spot. That Faker might have gotten the window on them. Responds with an immediate flash ult to get everyone locked up. And that allowed Zeri to deal maximum damage. Viego to get a big burst in as well. All right, now let's check out rotations. We're going to have, we'll call it an early rotation to mid lane. This is totally fine, right? There's nothing, you don't expect necessarily to get more at the map on the map in these last 90 seconds, but what you can do is keep on making high tempo plays. Now look at Elk, willing to push the limits, willing to rip into Rakan's shields, knowing that every time that you fight with Zeri, this is something that is very underutilized on Zeri. If the enemy has a shield, you win trades. That's how it works. Her passive is that good. Every time you're hitting into them, you're getting a quarter of the value of the damage in your own shield. It can proc things like shield bash. If enemy team has a lot of shields, you can even go shield bash for yourself. And especially when you have someone like Lulu and Annie buffing you up, I wouldn't be surprised if it's actually in the rune page. That extra bit of tankiness, the extra bit of damage all add up. But yeah, anytime you see Rakan dancing around with that shield, you're like, okay, sweet. Let me start hitting that shield. I win this trade no matter what. So BLG looking to take position on the Rift Herald. They are feeling ahead. They can feel it in their wallets too. They've got completed items across the board, except for Lulu, which is coming out soon. We have a upgraded boots advantage on the Zeri. We have completed item advantage, Annie versus Lissandra. And Viego has not quite spent all of his lead. He does have an upgraded boots advantage, but he also has 4 kills and 4 assists. So this Viego is going to be astronomically large. Like that the Wukong tried to be aggressive there forward. Wukong, oh no, Xayah missing some auto attacks. Means that Viego's able to get in. She oversteps to the left, and that means that she takes this chunk of damage. And that can be the difference between being able to carry a fight or not. Guma also spending time trying to continue zoning the Xayah when more damage was being dealt on the bottom side. So definitely needs to play that fight better. Viego, beautifully done. Rise from your grave. So we're saying about early rotations. The team that was actually best in this tournament at this 13-minute mark was PSG. And that was actually something that they had domestically, that they would generate enormous leads for themselves between 13 and 17 minutes. So I expect teams to go look at what they're doing and how they're generating this lead. But what they're doing basically at 12:30 to 13 minutes, they make a power play somewhere. They expect enemy team like, oh, we're getting to the end of laning phase, so let's start thinking about where we're going to put our people after plates are down. And what they're doing is they're taking that window to put 4 people bot lane, and they say, all right, let's hard push this right now, and we'll put our wave clear mid, and because mid wave shows up faster than top, they're able to clear mid and then go top and clear that as well. Meanwhile, the 4v2 went and got 2 plates. And basically, by making a high-tempo play at the 13-minute mark while plates are still up, you're allowing your team to get advantage and denying them because they don't have enough time to react. So a lot of times you'd see them at 13:20, specifically 13:20. Show up, boom, pop that wave, go in, hard push the next one, and you're in, and you're getting the plates as your reward. But we don't get that this game. Instead, we get that fight. Now we're going to come back up, start setting up around this Rift Herald. We have the deep ward put out by the red pit. It's worth to see the timer on that. Apart from that, they've got a vertical axis of wards here. Zeri's going to go after Wukong for sure. And this is trouble there for Owner. Owner is on 3 deaths. Faker's on 3 deaths. Zay's still looking super focused. Bin, same demeanor as always, stoic, all about business, has a job to do. We're not done here until it's done. So now coming out of this situation, are they going to continue fighting for Rift Herald, or are they going to start moving over for Dragon? If you're T1, what you want to have is Gragas coming over to pick up the wave. He'll pick up the next one, and you can send 4 people to Dragon if you want to try to contest for it. However, the best response from BLG is going to be take this Rift Herald and immediately pop it in the top lane and just go and start pushing. It's like, okay, you guys can have D2, that's fine. You get your second Dragon, no big deal. We're going to go and take your mid turret, which is worth more than the Dragon itself. Just a colossal amount of gold that gets infused into your wallets. Not only that, but it is permanent pressure up in the top lane. Once you have 2 turrets down, you can create slow pushes with the waves that are actually capable of breaking turrets. So would have liked to see that action from BLG. They don't do it. Instead, they opt to start protecting the bot side. It means that they're very late. Honestly, this play means that they're very far behind. They gave up the Dragon. They didn't get anything in return, just Jax, who was already wailing on that turret himself, and no one else is on the map. What they do get is a reset into mid a little bit faster. They get to spend some time with Zeri there alone, being able to push this into Lysandra. Zeri, the best control ward killer in the game, doing her job. Not her job, just another thing that she's randomly excellent at. So here's where they reap the benefits of that decision, right? You were behind on the play. You let them get a lot of tempo on your bot lane turret, but however, they didn't get the kill. And because they didn't get the kill, that means that they don't have any extra gold. They have to recall. They're a little bit late on the recall, and Rift Herald does 70% of the damage to the turret here. Now let's see the engage. This is going to favor BLG. This is too far away. Only if they get the kill before Annie shows up. Now they do have the drones. Annie's looking. Does she have the charge up? She needs to get E into Flash R. She sees it. If she doesn't see it, she needs to infer that the 4 of them are in that pit right now. Doesn't get it. Actually whiffs the W stun. So we'll see. Oh, Elk oversteps. Not quite ready. Flashes and Eve. Xayah reaching, though, trying to get this. And it seems like, again, they've pulled out a little bit of desynchronized play. Good job by T1 saying that they could take a play if, but you notice in and out. As soon as that Annie starts teleporting, they start retracting on the play. Annie was not able to get the 4-man stun. If she can infer that they're all in that bush, or if they had access to Farsight alteration, they might have gotten a complete blowout of a fight there. So tiptoeing for the advantage. T1 is able to scrape one for themselves. But let's take a look at it again. The channel into the stun. Was it worth it? You disjoint most of the damage here. The power of Viego. They're trying to knock you back in. And they get that first kill on the hugely fed member of the team, right? It's just such a big deal that Viego is the one that dies. Good job with the stopwatch. This would have been a good time for a self-ult. Yeah, and they're able to consolidate. Now Elk, as always, feeling strong. At the end of a fight, Zeri basically doesn't have cooldowns, right? It just your ability is just double auto attacks. So you're feeling pretty good when everyone's busted their cooldowns. You've got a 5 to 8 second window against most champions. that you can just get everything in. So Elk playing to that limit, but not realizing that it had gone on just a little bit too long. All right, there was about 5 seconds already, whereas Faker alone, the rest of the team had already reset. They were all getting their cooldowns back, and that's why the overstep by Zeri was punishable. But now we come back out of this situation. Who got the shutdown? I didn't see who got the kill onto the Viego. I'm going to guess it was Lissandra. I don't think she had the kill, right? She was 0-3 before. I don't know.
It was her.
It was Lissandra?
Yeah.
My scout in the back is letting me know. Lissandra got it. Did you guys know? Bonus points if you saw him there. But now we still have Zeri 5-2, Viego 4-2, and the whole time Bin has just been farming up a storm. Actually, not as much CS as the AD carry. Xayah, you know, being probably the best wave clear. Her and Sivir, unparalleled. They can just take every wave every time. So much CS here. Although, you know, there's been enough fighting that no one's at that 10 per minute threshold. And we don't see any of the world-class numbers that we often see, like 230, you know, that very in the realm of reason. Uzi used to get it. Chovy's capable of getting it. There are plenty of champions that can get that. Flame, of course, being the original Flame Horizon champion, we used to take pride in gapping his opponents by 100 CS. So now, coming back out, we've got Dragon in 40 seconds. It is my favorite map. It's the ocean map, which means that there's extra bushes to ward around the pit. All right, you want a shallow one in that pit. You want another one. The most important one you'll ever place is outside in that grass, that ocean soul grass outside the pit. You want to tuck that far enough away where people walking into the pit with a sweeper will not see it. However, it will see anyone who tries to kite into that bush, and trust me, everyone tries to do it. Whoever gets that position right to left, it tends to be red team. Since they have the opening over there, it's a little bit easier for them to maneuver into that bush and play a defensive position. So it's even more important for BLG right now. Drop that ward. I want to see it in the pit. They don't do it. They've got the control ward in the right spot, but they need to have that vision ward on the right edge of this bush on the bottom right of your screen. So instead they don't. They tuck this over. They're actually mitigating the effect of their own control ward by pulling the dragon out. So the added benefit is that you have a better angle for taking this fight. You don't let the enemy team find the engage onto you. But the downside is that you are giving up some of the vision in the pit. Now check out this front damage. They engage to the right. Lissandra is not going to take this E. And so BLG is going to feel very comfortable. And now you see this position. This is super advantage to BLG. Being in this bush means that no one's getting hit, no one gets seen. And even if owner shows up, it might be too late. Now he's looking for the flash. He goes for the E flash to get the connect into all, is able to stay alive. And the fact that he stayed alive, there hasn't been a reset yet, means that they're doing fantastically for themselves. Faker with the Zhonya's is going to be great. Wukong gets one for themselves, but Zeri is going to start going crazy. Look at the size of the shield. Immortal shield bow going off. They're positioning to the left side. Yagao is ready for the stun, but misses the stun. Elk saving the kite to be able to blast through and dash away from Rakan, but this means that he is in trouble. They get the kill. Are you kidding me? What is that burst? And look at the kiting here, but it's not quite enough. Annie, are you going to go for one more? No, and T1 takes it with an incredible fight. The Wukong flank into survival, somehow able to get away from that fight, is actually, you know, kind of perplexing that he's able to get that far. Check out this position. They see him here too. Elk even gets the attack off before he comes in. The ult into shimmy to the side. Oh, you know what? Elk spending that time dashing to the right. Yes, it's away from the majority of the damage, but you're not getting enough in. You want to continue to kite. You want to be parallel to the fight. Whatever the arc of the fight is, right? You want to flash in that direction. Bin reaching, goes for flash, gets counter-strike. Counts as his own auto attack. And Guma's able to get that kill. Did you see that? So players, even at this stage, capable of micro errors. If he gets that auto attack off, he gets that kill off, and then Guma's not there to deal that damage. Maybe he gets Triumph. That one little play could have spelled the end of the game for T1. Instead, they're alive. They've drawn the game back to even as far as gold is concerned. They're doing very well with all this CC. They're getting high priority targets in the beginning. Viego and Zeri have not been dealing full DPS as these fights are going on. If BLG can turn that and actually flex the money that's in their wallet, then they're going to be in a much better spot. They've created an okay situation for themselves, but each time just a little bit of missing DPS here. Zeri stepping to the right when the fight was going left. Bin canceling his auto attack, right? These small things can be the difference. And if you truly want to improve your gameplay, go back in, watch yourself, really be honest with yourself, and try to see your clicks. Look at your clicks. Where are they? Where should they be? And when you really see that deep into your own gameplay, you'll get an idea where your mindset is at and whether or not you're matching up with your team's narrative. Now, not hating on Elk. Elk has probably been the best player in the entire tournament so far. So, it would be tough to say anything against him. He's just been so steady. But he'll look at that. He'll look at that opportunity and say, hey, I could have dealt more damage. And that's what makes them great, when they're constantly striving for perfection. You probably never find perfection, but you may find greatness. All right, we've got Annie versus Gragas, which is interesting. I'd normally expect Jax to be over here, but they send Annie, saying Annie is much better in a flanking position than Jax. I don't disagree with them. Annie's going to be able to find some good flash ultimates, potentially. As usual, we've seen the early Lucid Boots rush, so Annie can be a playmaker, extra flashes, extra ults. We've seen that with a build like this, at this stage in the game, Tibbers' cooldown is basically the same duration as his life. So you basically have permanent uptime on Tibbers at this stage in the game, and you may see something like Cosmic Drive at some point, although they tend to favor a more useful item like Morellonomicon, where after you deal your burst, you don't want anyone healing up, right? But if you do something like Cosmic Drive in your games where there's a lot more blood happening, it just boom, it's just up all the time. Now, T1 has given themselves wards on the bot side. You see this in the southern quadrant. They've got one on Raptors and one beneath red. And actually, it looks like Azale's probably talking about it right now. Those wards are worth noting. There's something to be said about teleport angles and whether or not they're going for Dragon. But T1 normally wants to find out if you're on Dragon, and then they choose to go Baron, right? They've got the right read that Baron is significantly stronger than Dragon. And they're going to try to make this play. Now, however, by putting those wards out there, if you're BLG, you can actually take strength on the topside river and start controlling it. And you can see that they've done it in the 30th, 40th, 50th percentile on the map, in these vertical ward lines. They've got this avenue completely covered, even with one defensive one behind them, to make sure that there's no angle for control wards or anything like that. So as Dragon's spawning, we'll see if they go and just decide, hey, let's try to take a fight here, or whether or not they try to bring the fight over to Baron. There is one ward in the pit, so T1 has that safety valve for themselves, and they're going to start this off. Now, red team does have the advantage with this bush. We'll see if BLG is able to get all the way in. They're a little bit late. Zeri actually helping them with the leash. That's not doing his team any favor, and this is just a really bad play by BLG. This needs improvement. All right, they're late. They walked through vision. They gave up the side of the map where they had the advantage, all because they're trying to take a fight. It looks like there might be a little bit of desperation here. They've bought the stopwatches, so they really think that they're strong, right? They want to just win this fight above everything else. Zeri's on 3.5 items, almost going to be done with Infinity Edge, and you have the same itemization, Black Cleaver, Divine Sunder, and Stopwatch on BLG. So they buy these stopwatches. You may have even seen elixirs. You can't get that effect, unfortunately, from spectator mode, but they should be stronger. They shouldn't have been late to any play. They should have countered Dragon by moving over to Baron, right? You have that prerogative. You're set up there. You're feeling stronger. You've got Zeri that is elite in those spaces when teams are transitioning. And Annie that could have been very strong as well. I'd like to start seeing them setting up Jax on the side lane versus Gragas, and having Annie actually be ready for a pick if they find it. I don't want to see Wukong being able to get away with a flank. If you can picture the last team fight, for example, when Wukong flanked, sometimes the best answer there is not to go fight the Wukong, but to actually just force your way through the rest of the team and move away from Wukong himself. But based on the vision that they had, a very uninspired ward. that was tucked around behind the right side of the dragon pit. It wasn't actually in the tri-bush. Meant that Wukong kind of had the jump on him, stepped out. The moment he stepped out, he had E-flash range, and that got him in. So the communication was not there for BLG to go left. And that's what they would have had for themselves if they had gone and stayed top. They would have had complete, immaculate control of the Baron pit and all of the avenues getting in there. They could have created something for themselves. So T1 definitely clawing their way back in this game. Hopefully a sign that they are cool, calm, composed, collected. And BLG, really, a lot of these players, not expected to be the all-stars that could carry this team. This was a surprise team to come through the Chinese playoffs, but it was Bin playing, completely cracked out of his mind that got them this far. Bin being a, I don't want to say back-to-back champion, but the only returning champion from last year. The rest of this team has not had any experience. Now let's check out this pattern. Xayah is trying to kite everyone right, keeping people zoned with the feathers. Does get one root, but you see how strong Zeri is in these chase down and transition plays. Anytime you're in movement, Zeri's always going to be best because of her completely busted movement speed. And she carries that fight. Xayah forced to play backwards. Annie being the lowest on the health, but has teleport available. She'll charge up her stun in the pit. Right, so after she recalls, she'll cast WE, and then she'll teleport back onto the map. She'll get those cooldowns back, and basically be ready to pop another stun. Now, Zeus back on the map with full health. They are going to try to flex a little bit. BLG does not have the time to pick up the juicy fruits for themselves. It means that Lissandra is able to top off. Whole team is ready to top off, and it means that Annie's teleport was basically for nothing. Went up to that top wave, picked up a little bit of something, but not at 16. 16 is going to be a big spike. Bigger Tibbers, bigger Tibber. Bigger Tibber becomes a big deal in these late fights, especially once that cooldown is just so fast. Now, Jax having teleport, but Gragas not having it means that you can expect to put Bin on Jax into the far lane, right? Send him bottom and actually put the rest of the team up top. They may decide to put him closer to the action, seeing that they don't even want the delay since these team fights happen so quickly. But it would be a missed opportunity. They may change their mind based on where Lissandra is. But one of the plays you can do right now, if you're BLG, with Lissandra actually committing to this wave, you can start Baron. Start Baron, force the teleport, and then go out, reset for yourself, and then go out and get the position that you want with Bin split pushing in the side lane. So they're going to start this push. Lissandra's going to recall, spend her gold, get her Rabadons, it looks like, and then come into this fight. So she's coming in max powered, but while she's teleporting, they find the engage, and this is too late from the Lissandra. Gragas is already dead, and Gragas is their biggest zoning tool here. Now, Bin, here's what they got. They got the teleport. They know there's no teleports on the side of T1, and they're up some health, so they may decide to go into the split push, but they're going to commit to this fight first. So see, can they get a kill onto Bin? It doesn't look like it. The Counter-Strike is too good, getting so much of that mitigation to area of effect damage. Slight misplay there by Zun trying to time the dash with the Cyclone going down, but he mistimes it, ends up getting hit. Missed smite means that Wukong is able to take it. Now, Bin, they have to win the rest of this fight. They do get the Lissandra. Very dangerous champion for Viego to hold on to, and he's going to get the speed, and you're going to see Zeri just carry this fight here. The Prince of Pentakills, Pikachu on crack. We have Zeri going ham. Oh, and they're going to keep going. No one's safe. You're just never safe against this champion. Hunting. And because they continue that hunt, it means that they're able to get this for themselves. Now, Gragas teleport will be back up, so he'll be able to match some of the macro, but Annie and Jax will have 2 versus Faker not having his. So the advantage will definitely be there for them. What T1 can do to counteract this is continue to push with Baron and to push hard. Right? Push hard in 1, you want to actually be the battering ram. Force them to come to you because you're showing enough strength with the Baron buff for it to work. Now here we go. Bin, flash into Q. Could have been a window right here for them to win the fight. You see that dash right there? That difference between Viego hitting or missing that stun is such a big deal. Maybe he was just willing to do it anyways, saying, hey, I just want to stun you so you can't continue moving forward. Beautiful movements there by Bin. Stopwatch in response to the recall. And the call is go in. So in the comms right there, what you want to say is int. Int, right? It's just in. And what comes up coming, like you have to be willing to spend your HP, because if enemy team at any moment decides to try to get a kill on you, they all die. Right? So the call is be willing to die, int, go in, full strength. Doesn't matter if they turn around and get 1 kill, because we'll get 3. And if you die, it means that Zeri will get that triple kill and she'll be, out of this world. Strong. So we've come up for a fairly tense, very tense end game. This game 1 is living up to expectations for this tournament. These amazing teams. Fake Out, however, 1 and 5 has been the weak point on the team so far, but largely an initiator for this composition. Lissandra is willing to die, but we saw those mistakes earlier where self ult, where it should have been forward ult. The first 2 ultimates were uninspired, like we said before. Now, approaching full build for Zeri. She's going to be using this Bloodthirster Immortal Shield Bow setup to make sure that she can just sustain in these fights and continue going. More evidence to the fact that she might have Shield Bash in her runes. We'll have to check that after the game. Most underused rune in the entire game, in my opinion. Dematerializer and Shield Bash. They're both incredibly strong. Dematerializer for all the tempo plays that you can make in the mid game and early game, just by controlling wave states. And Shield Bash, just hidden power. You don't really see it happening as much as other things, but it's there. It's there. There was a Cloud9 composition from 2 years ago where it was like Aurelia and then 4 people that could shield her, and they just had Aurelia pick up Shield Bash and hard carried the game. It is that strong. So, without it, though, we've got to this situation. No Abyssal Masks. Again, kind of disappointing for me. I would like to see it. Instead, we've got 3 items basically across the board, apart from the supports. We've got everybody. Yeah, everybody's on 3 items. Viego's coast to 4, going for defensive itemization, has that Guardian Angel ready, and is going to have Randuin's as well. Zeri finishing 5 items is going to be a big problem. We see the Morellonomicon picked up and the Void damage for Annie, meaning that she's going to look for more of these counter Lissandra plays, right? Lissandra dives in, tries to find a play. Annie will try to flash and stun everybody as they dogpile onto the kill. Now check out the warding situation. T1 has gotten a triangle of wards for themselves in the southern quadrant. They're trying to prepare for this dragon. If they're really heads up, there's only 25 seconds between Dragon and Baron. You could be willing to give the Dragon Soul, pick up the Baron, and just end the game with it. Or get yourself enough pressure, right? 2 inhibitors being dead, that you could easily pick up the Elder for yourself. But these teams look like they want to fight. Now, this will decide the game, because whoever wins this fight is not only going to pick up the Dragon, but also pick up Baron. So it is very much a do or die here. If you feel like you're the stronger team, then it's totally fine to take this fight. Zeri is full build, so that is going to be the call from BLG, that they absolutely want to take this. Xayah not far behind, a half item away, but has the best component in the game as far as a half item is concerned at this stage in the game, with the Last Whisper. Let's look how they set this up. It looks like T1 knows that they don't belong here. Zeri just so good in this split push scenario where you have the safety of the walls. And it looks like T1's drawing the line, saying, yep, we're going to try to set it up so that when you guys go to Dragon, we're going to go over to Baron. Let's see if they turn around right now. A little feign forward, get them to commit, and then turn back around. Nope, they're actually going in. It looks like they're actually going to go for this. So this is actually a tremendous position for BLG. Zeri's going to solo the Dragon while the rest of the team sets up for the play. Lissandra sidesteps to dodge the ultimate, means that Tibbers only hits 1, and Wukong gets the steal. This is incredibly good for them, but they have to get out. They've used so many resources already, and the Zeri is on the hunt here. But who's going to go? Is the call? They can't quite in because all the cooldowns are still there. Zeri instead going for a zone. Now they've got inside track where they can start pushing. They can push up, and as team either chases, they can commit left to Baron or up for turret. They're going to hold this position to the northwest, moving into the northern quadrant, and try to get this advantage. Now there were some lingering wards there from T1, or did they lose them? It looks like they replaced them and lost the position. No, there's a control ward still there. They get in the fight so that they can see vision into the pit. This time Lissandra self-ults, and it's brilliant. and the stopwatch, you get that maximum life ahead. So T1 is jumping ahead in this fight, and they actually take it to them. Well played. Owner with ridiculous smite steals this game. Viego being a full item ahead still cannot control the power of Wukong going invisible, jumping over walls, and getting into these fights. Now, the game's not over. Ocean and Baron are done, but they only did get the one kill to earn this, all right? So the game's not done. We still have a situation where BLG can take this. T1's going to have to play well. We'll see what their technique is like. They've got both teleports and Baron buff, which means that they are in a winning situation. It's like being a piece up in chess. It's just a matter of making the right trades. Looks like, so Lissandra used cleanse, but it wasn't even hit by the stun, it looked like. And check out this play. They played that aggression forward, E dash, boom, stun, bomb, done. Such a smooth combo. Such an immense burst of damage too, right? With that Q, Bonky Kong plus Divine Sunder. Let's check out this fight. Battle lines on the right. Good job by BLG keeping the vision control. Now check this out. Very, very important. You see how they dropped that ward in the middle of that fight? It does two things. One is it might make your opponents hit the ward. And two, it ensures that your team has vision in the darkness as the fight goes. Because as your players are flashing in and out of that bush, you lose vision even temporarily. It means that they can deal damage and you can't. So it is absolutely crucial to get wards into bushes as you're starting a fight, specifically control wards. Now, Keria with a big misplay, but is able to get out, going for these deep wards. They did not need to go up yet. Gragas does not have enough pressure for them to actually step all the way up. They may be saying, hey, Lissandra's the one pushing. She's the most likely to get engaged on. I have some room to step forward. But BLG is able to get flash and resource. No, it wasn't even flash. Not even ultimate. Okay. You know what, Keria? Maybe that's just calculated. Able to get out of that situation. How many ults are around? Viego's is still on cooldown. Annie's is on cooldown, but that one's going to be up very, very shortly. It's going to be about 15 seconds away. So she will have it by the time she rejoins the fight. She's going to start stacking up her passive stun in base. And from here on out, don't expect her to go for any minions, right? She's going to keep this charge up, only use the E. The E does not proc the stun in any way, shape, or form, but it will keep the move speeds up and use it on someone like Xun so that they can get upfront damage. Wukong clone having access to Hex Drinkers, kind of sweet. Wukong finds the engage. Now Lissandra's coming in. What's the continuation? You have to be careful. Zeri's got all the AoE damage here, but Keria finding a way in. Do they get one? They get one kill for themselves, but coming out, Owner's going to be in trouble. They get this kill. Now check it out. Bin's jumping into the middle of the team. Big stuns, but Zaya's got all the AoE damage. She tried to flash to reposition the feathers, but it is not going to be enough, and Xun is taking this fight. Zeri is still alive, means that they're going to take this down as well. This is game. What are the respawn timers? 40 seconds on Rakan, and Lissandra's alive. They are going to use their shields to tank for this minion. They're going to step up in front of the turret. Look at Zeri, right? Making sure that this cannon stays alive. They're going to go forward, jump in ahead of the minions, keep them alive. Look at her use the shields. It's very, very important that you do this. When you keep the cannon alive, you take away the backdoor defenses that the turrets have. Now, see if Faker decides to int to try to clear this, to try to clear the minion. Team is still 13 seconds on Rakan, 20 seconds on two others. The wave is reinforcing. BLG's going to go for this. One person's going to go and try to zone out Faker, not let him get to the minions. Now the second wave is arrived. There goes Faker going for self-ult, trying to go and clear the maximum around. Now if you're BLG, you're trying to burst down turret while she's in that golden mode, and now you're going to come engage. There you go. They do it to perfection. Zeri playing cracked. They're going to ignore Wukong and just deal damage to the base here. Elk skipping the Wukong. No. Not skipping, feeling it's going to go through it. And what a finish to that game. BLG takes game one, snatching victory from the clutches of defeat.